Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Great to be here.
Today, we're digging into a stack of your sources.
Yeah.
News reports, political analyses, even some social media stuff that's flying around.
Yeah.
All about these swirling rumors, a potential cabinet reshuffle in Thailand.
It really does feel like the ground is shifting a bit under some political seeds.
Exactly. So we want to unpack why, maybe who might be involved, and just what the different players are actually saying.
Right. Our goal here is really to sift through all that noise you're hearing, the headlines, the guesswork.
Try and pull out the key bits.
Yeah, extract the important insights from the sources you sent and help you understand the real dynamics happening behind the scenes.
Okay, so let's unpack this then. First off, there's just been so much talk recently, right?
Yeah.
About a possible adjustment, a shakeup in the current cabinet. It's everywhere.
It really is. You can't miss it.
But then you look at the official statements, the ones coming from the key parties involved.
And they paint a different picture. It seems to almost clash with these rumors that just won't go away and with what the political analysts are saying, too.
That contrast, that's really the interesting part here, isn't it?
Absolutely. You've got this loud buzz of speculation, but the official word is often, quite firm denials.
Let's start right there then with that official word. We've got statements from the Bumjatai Party. They're a pretty big coalition partner.
Major one, yeah.
Their spokesperson, Nan Buthita Samchai, came out on June 4th. And she was, pretty clear.
Unequivocal, I think was the word used. She said their party leader, Anutin Charnvirakul, has not been notified by the Prime Minister about any reshuffle, period.
And she also firmly denied Bumjatai has proposed any conditions about a reshuffle. Not to the PM, not to Pheu.
Right. She really emphasized that they respect the original agreement, the one made when the government was formed, and they're maintaining what she called proper working etiquette.
Sounds like they're projecting stability. Sticking to the plan. She mentioned Mr. Anutin's stance, too.
Yeah, that he's always said the power to reshuffle. That belongs only to the Prime Minister.
And he'll only listen to the PM on it.
Exactly. So since the PM hadn't told him anything as of June 4th, she said, look, the party hasn't even thought about it, hasn't discussed it.
Interesting detail she added, too, about their internal structure. How only the party leader and the Secretary General can actually negotiate government stuff.
Right, suggesting maybe other voices aren't official. She seemed, unsure where the negotiation rumors were even coming from. Maybe just MPs thinking out loud, not the party line.
Kind of a, if it didn't come from the top two, it's not us message.
Pretty much.
And we also saw another Bumjatai figure, Napinthorn Srizanpang. He's the Deputy Commerce Minister. He got asked about rumors, too.
The one about demanding a full cabinet quota review?
Yeah, that one. And his response was kind of, that's for the senior folks to discuss. He said he didn't know the details. And anyway, the rumors weren't affecting his work.
So the public message from Bumjatai is consistent. No notification, no demands, everything's stable, sticking to the agreement.
Okay, let's switch gears. The Palang Kla Tam Party, their leader, Naroman Pinosenwat, who's also the Minister of Agriculture and Cooperatives, she also weighed in on June 4th.
And her response was, just as direct, maybe even more forceful, actually.
How so?
She dismissed rumors about her own job changing, like maybe moving to deputy finance, and she flat out denied reports her party would get another quota, like for Deputy Interior Minister, the fake Camp Point 4 position.
Flat out denial.
Yeah, he used phrases like no at all, really emphasized it. And she called those reports fake news.
Wow, fake news. That's strong language in politics.
It is. And she specifically shot down another rumor, too, that Atakorn Sirillatayakorn might replace her as Ag Minister. Again, just fake news.
So similar message then, PM hasn't called.
Exactly. She echoed the others. Prime Minister hasn't notified her, hasn't asked for names. She also mentioned Captain Thamanot Prompau, who chairs their advisory board.
Right, the one who negotiated the agriculture ministry post for them initially.
Yeah, she seemed to be underlining that original arrangement.
And the sources caught a lighter moment too, didn't they? She apparently laughed when confirming Palang Kla Tam is, for now, only responsible for agriculture.
Said her party isn't demanding more seats, just focused on solving people's problems. And she even made a joke about her leg brace.
Oh, yeah. What was that?
Something like it showed her party's stability, Our party is stable, supported by a cane. Bit of humor there.
Okay, so Palang Kla Tam, like Bumjatai, strong denials of specific rumors, emphasizing no word from the PM and trying to look focused and stable.
So what about the view from the main party, from Pheu Thai itself?
Good question. We saw their Deputy Prime Minister and Defense Minister, Phumtham Wechayachai, get asked about those Boom Jay Tai rumors, the ones about demanding a full cabinet review. This was also on June 4th.
And his approach was interesting. He kind of deflected, didn't he?
Yeah, basically said, you should ask Boom Jay Tai about that. It's their rumor. Said he didn't know the facts, hadn't spoken to the PM, and, the PM has the authority.
Sticking carefully to his lane, it sounds like. Not getting drawn in.
He did make a really interesting point about when the government was first formed, though.
What was that?
He said there was no agreement back then for ministers to hold their jobs for a fixed, long time. The focus, he stressed, was on performance, on sticking to the agreed policies.
Not on specific job guarantees during the formation talks. That's significant clarification.
Yeah, and he basically called all the media speculation and rumors guesswork or maybe trial balloons.
And pointed directly to the PM, saying the facts are with the Prime Minister, really reinforcing where the power lies in their view.
He was also asked if reshuffling ministries would be fair to the coalition partners.
And he pushed back on that framing.
He did. Said no party asked another to join just because they needed seats. It was a mutual decision based on agreement. Like, we all agreed to this together.
So the message from him, from Pheu Thai's side, no fixed-term deals initially, ignore the rumors, PM's call, and the coalition was built on agreement, not sort of handouts.
Then there was Prasert Chenrongthon, another deputy PM and the Minister of Digital Economy and Society, also Pheu Thai. He commented on June 4th, too, about that same Boom Jay Tai rumor.
And he said he wasn't aware of it.
Right. Said it hadn't been discussed within Pheu Thai. Parliament's in recess. PM hadn't mentioned it. And again, reiterated, reshuffle is the PM's call. Solely the PM's authority.
He did add something else, though, didn't he? About confidence.
Yeah, he said he's confident the government can keep going even if a reshuffle happens. And he urged ministers not to get shaken up by the rumors, just focus on their jobs.
Which, suggests the rumors are causing a bit of distraction, right? Or some unease, maybe.
You'd think so. And this is where it got a bit more personal for him. He was specifically asked about strong rumors linking him to the Interior Minister job.
Ah, the big one. What did he say?
Well, he confirmed it's a rumor. But then, significantly, he acknowledged just how important the Interior Ministry is. Crucial for getting government policy done right down to the local level.
That's not nothing. Acknowledging the importance of the very job he's rumored for.
Exactly. And when they pressed him, would you be ready if needed? He apparently just laughed and said, well, it depends if a reshuffle actually happens.
So, not confirming anything, but certainly not shutting the door hard either. It shows the possibility is definitely being talked about, even within Pheu Thai, especially for those key posts.
And one more from Pheu Thai. Their Secretary General, Sornwong Tianthong. Also on June 4th, he denied mediating any talks between Pheu Thai and Boom Jay Tai about swapping ministries.
Said if talks were happening, they'd be at the leader level.
Yeah, head of party level, which he framed as, normal political discussion. But he was firm. Decision-making power. Only the Prime Minister.
And he also mentioned how disruptive the rumors are.
Right, affects the work of the current ministers. So the official line from Pheu Thai figures seems consistent. Deny specific rumors and talks, strongly emphasize the PM's sole authority, but also acknowledge the speculation is having an impact.
Which brings us, really, to the key source here. The Prime Minister herself, Pattongtarn Shinawatra. She addressed the rumors on June 4th, too. She's the one with the actual power.
So what did she say? Did she shut it all down?
Not exactly. She confirmed she hasn't discussed a reshuffle with Boom Jay Tai yet, but crucially, she added she would talk to them if it became necessary.
So leaving the door open.
Very much so. Said she wouldn't reshuffle without talking to her partners first, which lines up with what they've been saying about not being notified yet.
Did she give any insight into her own thinking?
She did. She said she's currently in an evaluation phase, thinking about how a reshuffle could potentially improve things, make the government work better.
So she is actively considering it. It's on her mind.
Yes. But she was very careful to stress it's not 100% decided, not a done deal. She felt it was too early for specifics, like would it be just Pheu Thai ministers moving around or a bigger swap with partners?
Why too early?
She cited concerns about instability. Talking too soon could unsettle the people whose names are being thrown around in the rumors.
That makes sense. Acknowledging the disruption the rumors themselves cause, like her minister said.
Exactly, and she reinforced that point. She needs to talk to the coalition leaders first, get their consultation, their comments before making any changes. Said she prefers not to act without discussion.
So when asked directly, is it time for a reshuffle? What was the answer?
She said she is considering it internally and confirmed no, she hasn't asked coalition partners for input yet, but she would call them for opinions if a reshuffle were going to happen.
Okay, so internal consideration.
Yeah.
Formal consultation, not yet. What about timing? Any hints?
She actually cautioned against rushing things. Even though the government has about 2 years left, she said if you rush, the reshuffle might not be okay.
So yes, a careful, deliberate process, not something imminent.
Seems that way. And finally, she said she hasn't decided on the scope yet, whether to look at the whole picture across ministries or adjust based on party quotas. And she stated clearly, the cabinet reshuffle isn't happening right now. Other things need sorting first.
And even within FUTAI, her own party.
She added, they haven't discussed it internally yet either.
Okay, so summing up the PM's official line. Considering it, yes. Evaluating how, yes. Decided, no. Timeline, not set, don't rush. Formal talks started, no. Happening right now, no. That kind of bridges the gap, doesn't it? Acknowledges the possibility, but explains why it's not concrete yet.
Right. So you have these very careful official statements, denials from partners, the PM saying considering but not yet. But, as you said, the rumors persist, they're strong, they're widespread, they're detailed in the political analysis we're seeing.
Which really begs the question, if the official word is mostly not happening yet, why are these rumors so incredibly persistent? Where's all this smoke coming from?
Exactly. And the sources suggest it's not just random chatter. Analysts point to real underlying forces and tensions that they believe are driving all the speculation.
Like what kind of tensions?
Well, things like ongoing difficulties passing legislation in Parliament, conflicts bubbling up between coalition partners over specific policies, or maybe just jostling for political advantage. There seems to be friction beneath that calm surface.
Any specific examples in the sources?
Yeah, one thing analysts highlighted was the delay of the entertainment complex bill, the one that included casinos. A public law scholar, Dr. Nat Natawut Wangyam, suggested way back in April that this bill, seen as pretty important to Bumjaitai, was already raising the political temperature.
So a concrete legislative issue causing strain.
Seems like it. And Dr. Nat even proposed a specific strategy he thinks the PM might be considering regarding Bumjaitai. He called it pickling, or tekada in Thai.
Pickling, what does that mean in this context?
It's not about kicking them out of the government. It's more subtle. It means reducing their power, maybe by taking back control of key ministries FUTAI wants, sort of containing them without breaking the coalition.
Interesting. And is there one ministry that keeps coming up as the target?
Overwhelmingly, yes. The Interior Ministry. We're going to have analysts keep pointing to it. They suggest that for FUTAI, regaining control of Interior is absolutely crucial.
Why Interior specifically?
Because it's the ministry that handles administration right down to the local level. It's seen as vital for actually implementing government policies effectively across the country, and importantly, for building a political base ahead of the next election, which is expected in 2027.
And didn't one analysis mention Thaksin Shinawatra?
It did. Quoted him stating the Interior Ministry, under its current leadership, wasn't working fully, and that it was necessary for policy implementation, especially with only about 2 years left for this government.
That's a pretty strong signal from someone seen as very influential behind the scenes, about both performance and strategic need.
Definitely. The sources also point to specific incidents that analysts see as illustrating the conflict between FUTAI and Bumjaitai.
Like what?
One mentioned was Chayachonok Chidchub. He's the son of Nuwan Chidchub, a key figure often linked to Bumjaitai, apparently openly opposing a FUTAI policy right there in Parliament.
Okay, that's pretty direct.
And Thaksin's comment, just saying Bumjaitai is Bumjaitai, was interpreted by analysts as, well, a sign of dissatisfaction from the FUTAI camp towards the Bumjaitai camp, maybe signaling a need for some kind of strategic response.
So it's not just abstract tension. There are specific actions, specific words being parsed by analysts as evidence of this underlying conflict.
Right. And the analysis suggests that Bumjaitai itself might have some internal divisions, which could make its negotiating position more complicated.
But they're unlikely to just walk away.
Analysts think Anutin is unlikely to jump to the opposition, especially given how critical he was of the People Party when this government was being formed. So Bumjaitai's options might be somewhat limited.
Which brings us back to that pickling strategy.
Exactly. Analysis presents it as a way to sort of dial down a party's influence and political role without the drama of kicking them out. A tactic apparently seen in past coalitions, too. It's described as a more nuanced political move.
And the potential impact on Bumjaitai. They have a lot of seats, right?
Well,
69 MPs.
They do, and influence maybe over some senators too, the so-called blue senators. But analysts argue that losing key ministries, like Interior, could really weaken their momentum. It could also increase scrutiny on them, perhaps related to ongoing issues mentioned in the sources, like the Cowcrodon land case.
And more recent analysis from June 4th ties this Futai-Bumjatai tension, the red camp versus blue camp, to something else happening now.
Yeah, to the ongoing investigation into alleged Senate collusion. Reports mention summonses going out to figures linked to the Blue Network. Analysts see this as another current pressure point, potentially fueling the political maneuvering.
One analysis even suggested that if the PM tries to keep the peace, delays the reshuffle, that blue network might actually push back harder.
Right, so delaying might not diffuse the situation, it might just change the dynamics.
Given all this, what kind of reshuffle scenarios are analysts talking about?
They're floating a few possibilities. Could be a small reshuffle, just Futai swapping some of its own ministers around. Could be a big reshuffle where ministries actually get swapped between Futai and Bumjaitai or other partners. Or even the biggest reshuffle, removing a party from the coalition altogether, though that seems less likely according to most analysis.
And who's seen as pulling the strings? Is it the PM making the calls or someone else?
Well, there's discussion about that too. Some sources hint that the big boss, generally understood by analysts to mean Thaksin Shinawatra, is signaling moves from behind the scenes.
While others focus more on the PM's own calculations.
Exactly. Focusing on her need to maintain stability, sometimes described as the daughter thinking complexly. So, different takes on where the ultimate decision-making power really lies for this.
The idea of swapping ministries seems central to a lot of the analysis.
It does. Sources suggest potential deals. Maybe Futai offers up some of its own desirable grade A ministries in return for getting Interior back.
Like a package deal.
Possibly. Mention of maybe a 2-for-2 swap involving ministries like commerce, tourism, and sports, maybe labor. These are the kinds of specific high-stakes trades analysts think could be on the table.
Does Futai have a plan B if Bumjatai doesn't play ball, or even leaves?
Analysis suggests they might. Sources mention Futai could potentially seek support from other parties, like Palang Prakaroth, to make up the numbers if needed. So they're not necessarily seen as completely dependent on the current setup.
And it's not just Futai and Bumjatai in the mix, right? What about other partners?
No, analysis points to movement elsewhere too. Within the United Thai Nation Party, RTSN, there are reports of internal friction, potential changes to their ministerial quotas. Names like Pirafin Selarathavafak and Ekonot Promfen come up, maybe some new faces, so the potential ripple effects are wider.
And beyond the party level, the analysis names specific ministers who might be vulnerable.
Yeah, across the government. Rumors mention potential changes at Commerce, Deputy Interior, Deputy Finance, Deputy Agriculture, and conversely, some former ministers are rumored to possibly be making a comeback. It gives you a sense of the individual seats analysts think are shaky.
Okay, so lots of political maneuvering described. But there was another perspective from an analyst, Dr. Wanwichit Bunprum, on June 3rd. What was his take?
His point was really crucial, I think. He acknowledged that Bumjaitai setting conditions for a big reshuffle is possible, but he argued strongly that any reshuffle has to be genuinely for the people. It needs to focus on solving real problems, economic issues, security issues.
Not just about political gain or turf wars.
Exactly. He warned that a reshuffle driven purely by politics, just to benefit one side or remove opponents, that would likely fail, it would cause more problems, destabilize the government.
And he saw Bumjaitai's potential stance demanding public benefit as a way to respond to the rumors.
Yeah, framing it as a test. Is Futai prioritizing the public good or just their own political advantage? It puts the onus on them to justify any changes.
That's a really important lens. Is this about improving governance or just playing politics?
So, bringing it all together, what does this mean for you, trying to make sense of it all?
Well, you've got these official denials, very careful statements from the parties, including the Prime Minister herself saying she's only considering it, hasn't decided, hasn't consulted yet.
But running parallel to that, you have this persistent, detailed analysis suggesting strong underlying political currents are pushing for change. Real tensions, strategic goals, especially focused on that powerful interior ministry, driven by things like policy implementation and positioning for the next election.
These different accounts really throw the central tension into sharp relief, don't they? It's the stated desire for coalition stability, rubbing up against a perceived need by some players, or analysts at least, to improve government performance. or maybe just improve their own strategic position.
Especially in areas that really affect people's lives. The economy, how the country is run day to day.
Understanding these dynamics, it's more than just tracking who might get which job. It gives you a window into the strategic thinking of the major parties, the fault lines within the coalition.
And maybe the direction government policy might take as we get closer to that next election. It helps you see the complex political chess game playing out just beneath the surface of those official statements.
The political air definitely feels thick with speculation right now, and these competing stories. Will the official denials hold, or will those underlying tensions, the strategic maneuvering the analysts describe, eventually force a concrete cabinet reshuffle?
And if it does happen, what form will it take? Will it be that subtle pickling strategy, a big dramatic swap of ministries, or maybe something else entirely, driven by calculations we haven't even seen yet?
I guess the most provocative thought to leave you with, picking up on Dr. Wojcic's point, is this. In this really complex political game, where parties are naturally guarding their own interests, looking for advantage, can a major cabinet reshuffle ever truly be focused on adjusting for the people? Or is the political calculus, in the end, just too powerful?
Yeah.
Something to definitely keep in mind as we watch this unfold.